Guess what time it is? I'm excited, can you tell? We are gonna be talking about blush, all things blush today. I'm gonna show you my entire blush collection. We're gonna talk about my favorites, my fails, things I've had for so many years but I still love, but I need to get rid of because they are just that, like, they're gross. We're repurchasing a few things because they're like beloved products, but I'm finally accepting the fact that they are like 7 years old and it's time for that version, that one, to go in the trash. But I'm excited. I've already done the hard work here, which you're gonna see. We're decluttering. And so going through this and getting rid of, I just did the math, we got rid of 60% of my collection. So you're gonna get to see it all, but you're also gonna see me working through what I'm keeping, what I'm not. So if you are into my old school, old-fashioned declutters, you're gonna love this. If you were into faves and fails, speed reviews kinds of videos, you're gonna love this. And if you're into just like makeup collection, like what blushes I own, you're gonna love this. We're doing it all. So I hope that you enjoy. If you do, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you like this kind of video. I definitely have another one like this coming in about a month, probably on my bronzers and highlighters together. And I'd love to have you join the fam by subscribing. I'm also over on my Instagram all the time. Like all of the time. It's kind of like I'm having a moment where I'm on my Instagram stories daily, which I didn't used to, but I'm enjoying it. So if you want to see a little behind the scenes, that's a great place to do that. And my Instagram is @jessicabraun. So without further ado, let us dive into my blush collection. Okay, here we are. My blush collection. I'm going to show you everything I have, give you some quick reviews on most of it, and we're going to declutter it as well, so it's kind of an all-in-one video. It's not going to be that different than a lot of my declutter videos if you've seen them, so it's not going to feel like wildly different. I know a lot of you guys were concerned when I said I might adjust it, but I just was thinking about it. I'm like, my declutter videos really are like speed reviews for a collection. So we're going to talk about blush today. First thing, this has been the best discovery, this Real Techniques brush for cream blush. If you have struggled with application, you always feel like it looks weird or you just don't feel comfortable, you need this brush. It will change your life. It is so seamless. I'll link this exact one below, but I literally was getting ready this morning with this and I was like, I want to mention this today. So I threw it on the pile. So let's talk about my makeup collection. So I think I'm going to split it up. Let's do powder blushes first, and then we'll kind of get into cream and then liquid, just because we need some sort of organization here. Oh my gosh, some of these I didn't even remember I still had. This is crazy. All right, so these are all my powder blushes. I want to count these because I want to count the total. So we have got 46 total powder blushes. I was just thinking through it. I'm like, there's probably a few I'm missing. I went through my like vanity and stuff over there, but I'm sure there's like one or two. If you know I have it and you don't see it, that's probably where it is. But anyway, I'm going to start with my things that are easy to get rid of. Maybe they're discontinued or they're just super old. So the Mosaic blush from Essence is pretty good, but I think it's discontinued and I've got plenty of pink blushes, but this was really nice. I just have not really reached for this. It's kind of a glowy highlighter blush from Sephora, but I don't use blushes like this, like blush toppers, often enough to warrant keeping this, so I didn't think it was bad. I just don't need to keep it. This Buxom one I haven't reached for in a while. I used to love this. It's the Wanderlust blush in Seychelles. Great product. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't use it often, if ever. Oh gosh, that is so pretty though. Oh no. Oh no. I love how kind of like light that is. Let me think about it. I'll put a little maybe pile. This is from M Cosmetics. It's just a little bit too bright for me. It's the Heaven's Glow Radiant Veil Blush. It's really pretty though. I mean, there's no doubt that it's pretty, but I just don't end up reaching for it very often. Okay, I have two Bare Minerals bronzers, both of them in Kiss of Pink. How funny is that? I think they keep like taking these away and bringing them back. This one I think is the older one, so that one can go. These are wonderful, but again, this shade, a lot of times now that I have other blushes, is a little deeper than I typically want. But it's a cool product. It's kind of a glowy blush. All right, I think I fixed the autofocus because I didn't have it properly. The settings weren't right, so hopefully it'll be better from here on out. Okay, I never grab this. I like the idea of it. This is the NARS Summer Unrated Blush and Bronzer Duo, but I don't often use it. These are like their bestseller shades, but it's gonna go. I think it was limited edition. Anyway, Starla I got, but it's just too deep for me, so I'd rather pass this on to someone that's gonna be uber excited to use it. I've literally only swatched it. Dandelion is a nice light pink though that I really like. I like that you can get these in minis. Doesn't swatch great, but I love that this is one of those shades that I can build up like crazy on my cheeks, and it always looks nice. So first thing I'm going to keep. This Dallas shade is super old. This is like the one for me. Like this is the one I've loved for so many years. It was just like one of those like weird kind of bronzery, blushy shades, you know? It does not smell good the way it used to either. So I'm trying to decide. I might keep it just as a keepsake because this is like the only blush I have from the olden days. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep it as a keepsake. This I've had for a little while. I just don't ever reach for from Kiko Milano. It's really pretty, but the pink is almost too light. And then again, there's a blush topper, which I really just don't use. So this was the Sweet Affairs Duo Cocoa Blush. Moving things together here. I'm going to keep both of these Dior blushes. I think these are nice, but I don't think that the price tag on these, like there's no reason they're as expensive as they are, I guess, other than the name. I think they're great blushes. The wear time is nice. This, I've told you, you can find dupes for anywhere. Like this ColourPop one here in Hot to Touch is definitely a dupe for it. I think it's nice, but I don't think it's worth the viral status. However, I say that and I was totally sucked in with the new shades they just launched. This is Rosewood. Really, I bought this because I want it to be for like fall. So, and it looks like such a fall winter blush. So I am keeping them. I do like them, but I just don't think you need to spend the money. But speaking of, this is a dupe for it, but since I have the original and I've already filmed about this, and I'm pretty sure you can't get your hands on this, I'm gonna go ahead and pass this on, but it is wonderful. But I only have 2 cheeks. This Smashbox Cali Contour Kit is old. I have loved this. Well, let me rephrase. I've had a love-hate relationship with this. I've like loved it at times, then felt medium about it at times, and I don't know, it's one of those random things. I never really used this shade here, and I didn't often use that as a setting powder, so it was pretty good, but it's very old at this point. This Nabla one is gorgeous, but it's super old in Skin Glazing, or it's their Skin Glazing Powder in Truth. All of these products are so beautiful. They have like highlighters, I think they have bronzers, so I do highly recommend, and I love the packaging, but this one, I feel like is pretty old, but it is like, wow. Wow, 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 it's so pretty. Okay, this CoverGirl one is so awesome, but I cannot get it to look right on my cheeks. I don't know if it's my skin color. It's the one so many of you guys recommended and I tried like in a subscribers maybe buy it. It's in Soft Mink and it's been around forever. I love that. I think it is really, really pretty, but there's something about the shade, maybe it's just a little too deep for my skin, that every time I've worn it, when I see it in natural lighting, I'm like, so I think it works for a lot of people, but it's just the shade wise, as I've seen it in natural light, it's not quite for me. I'll wipe some of these bad boys off with my trusty Costco makeup wipes. This is feeling good. I feel like a lot of these I hold on to because I'm like, well, but it is pretty, but it's like, you know, there's a lot of pretty blushes in the world, but keeping all of them isn't doing me any favors because then I open my blush drawer and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. And so then I just grab the same few blushes that I know and love. All right, Jones Road. I have not loved a lot of products from them. This is a blush. It's called the bronzer, but it's in Dusty Rose. So to me, it's more of a blush shade. But again, I think it's just a little bit too deep. It blends out nicely though, doesn't it? Gosh, that blends out really nicely. Maybe I should try this one more time and decide. I'll put it in the maybe pile with that Buxom one and we'll re-look at them in a minute. I love these Bare Minerals products, but they are very old. And I was putting, I think this one was in my vanity I just pulled out and I was like, these are like years and years old. It says 12 months. These are kind of like a cream to powder blush. It's their Bounce and Blur. I don't even know if they still sell these. I do love them. But the more I thought about it, I was like, these I've had for too long. But very, very good products. Would totally consider buying again. I would probably just buy Blurred Buff. It reminds me a lot of the Dallas blush. But again, it's like that cream to powder. It's such a unique formula. But they've got to go. Those have had a lot of love from me over the years for sure. I haven't reached for this in a long time. It's the Bite Size Face Duo in Spiced Apple from e.l.f. I think it's actually really good. But again, I'm like, I just have too much. And this is not one that I'm finding myself reaching for. However, wouldn't that be a pretty eyeshadow? Like, especially that one. Wait a minute. That's really pretty. Are these safe for use on the eyes? I don't know. But again, I have plenty of eyeshadows like that. But I'm just saying, if you have this and you're like, I feel like that would be a really pretty eyeshadow. I love these Essence Pure Nude blushes. I have used the crap out of this one in Shimmery Rose. It's my favorite shade. Like easily. Again, it's pretty like light and shimmery, but I don't know. There's something about it that I really like the way it looks on my cheeks. This one I think I'm gonna get rid of in Goldie Cassis. It's just a little bit more purpley so I don't use it as often. I'll probably keep both of these Benefit blushes, Willa and Peachin. Peachin was my OG favorite from this new launch from a year or two ago. It's just super peachy, obviously, and I just love it. Again, it's really great for fairer skin, so I'm definitely keeping. And then Willa was a more recent purchase, and it's that really pretty kind of blue-toned pink. And it was sold out for a while, so I finally was able to get my hands on it. So definitely keeping both of those. I also have Dandelion. I will always have a special place in my heart for Benefit blushes. And I think they like the wear time is really nice too. So it's not just that I have nostalgia. They genuinely are good blushes. All right, so let's talk Physicians Formula here. So I've got 2 blushes from them. We've got the Butter Believe It blush in Pink Sands, and we also have this one in Mauvey Mattes. Pink Sands, you guys know, is like an absolute favorite of mine. I cannot believe how much I love this blush. I just swirl it all together. It's like the perfect tone for me. So definitely keeping that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pass on, I almost said Mauvey Mattes. It is very pretty, very similar formula, but just a little bit deeper than what I typically like. So it's an easy pass on, but I did think the formula was great if that's a better shade for you. I feel like a lot of people sleep on those Physicians Formula blushes and they're really good. All right, well, this is an obvious keep. This is the Givenchy Prisme Libre blush. I just showed this in a Sephora haul like a few weeks ago. If you want to check that video out, I will link it below. It was a really fun one. It's a loose blush, and I just can't stop using this. I really can't. I just think it's so pretty. Again, it's kind of like that light pink. They have different shades in this line. And I just feel like if you're going to be spending money on a high-end blush, it's kind of cool to be able to get one that is different than what else is out there. Do you know what I mean? And this one really is. I just love it. I can't stop using it. We are flying through these powder blushes. We still got cream and liquid to go though, don't we? All right, this Neutrogena Healthy Skin blush I have loved for a very long time, but it is very old. The shade Rosy. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. It's just one of those perfect everyday blushes if you're near my skin tone. A dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush, if you've heard of that. Well, I know most of you guys have. Wonderful dupe. You can find it on Amazon. I will link this below, but this one is very old. So I will probably eventually repurchase that one because that's one I have reached for a lot over the years. But not right now because we got plenty of blush. All right, I love the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush, but this one's super old. This one, I don't know if you can get this shade. I was just talking about it in a video. This is Always Preppy. Again, very similar to that Dior pink one. So if you can get your hands on it, I love it, but this one's very old. Yeah, let me show you a comparison swatch. So that's the e.l.f., that's the Dior. So they're not exactly the same tone, but the vibes I feel like are there if you were dying to try it. But yeah, very old. Gonna go, what do they put like month-wise on some of these powder blushes? 18 months on some, 12 months, 18 months. So yeah. Oh, I've had all of these for like 3, 4, 5 years plus. Persona. I never reached for this blush. Okay, I haven't even swatched this blush, so I might go ahead and, it's in the shade Caramel. See, this looks like such a pretty shade for fall though, doesn't it? Let me put that in the maybes and think about it. This is one of my favorite blushes. I think you can still get it. It's a newer-ish launch, but you know ColourPop. I feel like they're in and out with what's available. This is their pressed powder blush in the shade Why Hello. I cannot stop using this. It's the perfect everyday, just satin matte shade for me. I can't believe I haven't hit pan. I had to take this out of my oops. Oh, I guess I gotta re-glue that. I had to force myself to take this out of my vanity because I literally was using no other blush. And I was like, I gotta try other stuff for videos. But I just love it for every day. So highly recommend the ColourPop pressed powder, especially if you can find a shade that you really like. All right, we've got a few peachy blushes here. So this is the Sephora Colorful Blush. I really liked this formula. I might keep this. So Shy. It's just easy to use. Wait, hold on. Is there hard pan on this right now? Or is that just the letters I'm feeling? I think there might be some hard pan on this. So I need to scrape that off. I'm gonna put this in the maybe. Because if I scrape it off and it's not hard pan, I feel like it did really well with the brush though. Like the 3 or 4 times I've used this, it did just fine with the blush. So, but you know, again, I feel like Sephora brand, there's so many favorites from that brand, but I definitely do have a few misses. It's just one of those, like, you got to know what to buy, but I love the price tag is so much less than other Sephora brands. So I'm going to put that in the maybe. So the other peach blush I have here is from Tarte. It's the Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in Captivating. I had a moment where I was like rediscovering the Tarte blushes because these were so popular for so long. This one is the prettiest everyday peach. It's just like this and Peachin' are kind of similar. I want to say the Tarte one's, yeah, the Tarte one's definitely a little bit deeper. So I'll compare for you. And the Tarte ones, I always say they don't swatch great, but they, wow, okay, these actually look very different. I would have assumed, like in my mind's eye, I was like, yeah, it's like super peachy. This definitely does have a little bit more of a pink pull to it. So interesting. But I definitely think these are best applied with a brush. I mean, duh, they're all powder blushes, but you know what I mean. But I am going to keep it because I do like that formula. And I like the way that looks on my skin. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I've been holding on to it. It's the MAC Warm Soul. Everyone had talked about this for years when I was first starting out. And they changed the formula, but I finally got my hands on it. And it's the new, not necessarily formula, but the new shade, I guess, version, whatever. And apparently it's not the same. I do think it's pretty, but I just don't ever grab it. So I'm like, Jessica, you're holding on to it for that nostalgia's sake, but I don't use it, and it's still new enough that I could pass this on. Another peach blush, this Patrick Ta in She's Sincere. This is a great peach. This one's definitely more like Benefit Dandelion, more of like a low-key peach, but I've liked this formula. I've reached for this actually quite a bit. I also weirdly like how big the pan is. I feel like it's easy to just go to town with your brush, so definitely keeping that. Laura Mercier, I love these blushes, but these are pretty old. These used to get a lot of love a few years ago on my channel. This is Fresco, probably my favorite shade, but see, let me think about that. That's in the baby. The Glowish blush, I do think is pretty from Huda Beauty. I'm going to keep. This is like the mini. It's in Healthy Peach, and I like this formula. I feel like it always applies nicely. It never swatches great, but it always applies nicely to the cheeks. So I'm going to keep that one. This is very new to me, the Makeup Forever powder blush. Well, it's the Artist Blush. This is in Joyful Pink. I'm liking trying this formula. I think the formula is very, very, very long lasting. I actually am wearing the bronzer from this line today. I just think that this shade might not be my ideal shade, but formula-wise, I like it, and I'm still trying it out, so I don't want to get rid of it yet. This Essence, the blush, is pretty old. I just did a best and worst of Essence, so a lot of my older Essence products, whether I loved or hated them, are gonna get decluttered because they're so old, but that video was amazing if you haven't seen it, because I talk about, this brand is just great, because they're inexpensive, which I love. And they've stayed that way. So this is in Befitting. It's my favorite shade from them, but it definitely is time to go. That's probably like 4 years old. This one's definitely super old, but I love it. It's the Pacifica blush in Camellia. This is probably my favorite blush maybe ever. I remember doing like a TikTok a few years ago, and I think I did list this as my favorite powder blush. I think it's the shade, it's the formula, like there's something about it. The formula feels a lot like the Benefit blushes. Oh my gosh. I'm not ready to part with it. I feel like it looks okay. I'm not ready for it to go. Milani, I love their rose powder blushes. This one I love. It's one of my favorite drugstore blushes of all time. I'm going to keep Romantic Rose. It's so pretty. Again, shade-wise, it's just that basic neutral that I love. This one I'm going to go ahead and pass on. It's such a drugstore staple. It's very, very good, but I just don't reach for this shimmery blush very often. It's, guess what shade? Luminoso. So good. I actually really like this. This one's pretty old, but I don't know. It says 30 months. That's interesting. This is one I travel with a lot because, again, I can kind of go ham with it, and it's pretty light. But I love the finish of it. I'm not ready to part with it. Same with this Hourglass one. I feel like I've had this for a long time, but I travel with it a lot. It's one of those really pretty, kind of similar to that Charlotte Tilbury. This one's in Dim Infusion. These look different depending on how it was poured, like it's marbleized, so they're not all exactly the same, which I think is kind of fun. But again, I love that shade. And then this one's still newer to me from House Labs. It's one of those like super hyper shimmery blushes, which I don't typically go for, but I like to have at least one. And again, this one's one I'm still trying out, but it's definitely really pretty. It's definitely really, really punchy. All right, we did it. Let's look. Well, we'll hold off on the maybes until the very end because I'm going to have some cream and liquid maybes as well. Are you enjoying the video so far? If you are, comment below. So far, what has been your favorite blush that you saw in my collection? One that maybe you have your eye on, you already own and love, etc. Let me know in a comment. Little mid-video break. All right, let's do the cream blushes, baby. We're gonna do liquid next, and weirdly, cream blushes are definitely my favorite, like ones in a pot, but I weirdly have way more liquid blushes, which does not make sense to me. And if you had asked me which I had more of, I would have said cream, but no. And I feel like with some of the products, the line is a little blurred, but nonetheless. Okay, here are my cream, like potted, you know what I mean, compact blushes. Okay, I did not like this formula. This is the About Face Cheek Freak Blush Balm. I don't know if it's because of the shade I got. It was hard to tell online, but it's a little bit brighter than I typically like, but I just feel like this always ends up looking a little bit patchy. It definitely helps when I apply it, like, okay, grabbing the brush I was talking about. This has helped a lot with this. I feel it's not gonna show up at all, but I feel like this has helped a lot with how it looks. So if you do own this or you were thinking about buying it, definitely make sure you have a good brush for it, because that has made all of the difference. When I was applying this with my finger, it looked awful. But, so I think you can make it work. My point is, shade-wise, it's just not a favorite, so that's one I'm going to pass on. This one I think can look really pretty, but what I realized, this is the Revolution Multi-Use Balm. It's kind of like those ones from Jones Road. It can look really pretty, but it is sticky, and it's like wet. So it's just one of those products I'm like, it's really pretty in theory, but I just don't know. But I've literally only had it a few months, so I'm like, do I keep it and try to use it? Let me put this in the maybe and think. This is the most obvious keep. This is probably, out of all of these, no, this is definitely my most used cream blush. This is the Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in Barely Blushing from Makeup by Mario. This, again, plus this brush is heaven. For a while, I felt like the wear time on this wasn't as good as other ones. The more I paid attention, I actually think the wear time's fine. Especially since I've been applying a little bit more and using this, it just ends up looking more even and pretty, and I can't stop using this thing. This thing is beat up. It is like so dirty. By the way, I just did a count. I forgot I hadn't counted. There were 13 of these, because we're gonna give a total count at the end and a total count of how many we're getting rid of. All right, another favorite of mine is from Honest Beauty. This is the Rose Pink Cream Cheek. It's also a lip color too, but I don't use it that way. I think this one is so pretty. I finally bought it in this new packaging because I had the old one. It's just gorgeous. It's kind of balmy, kind of like that Revolution stuff, but it just looks so pretty. Oh my gosh, I haven't used this in a while. I need to pull this back out. It's so pretty. So highly recommend. I'm loving the new kind of metal packaging. I think that's really sleek. And you know what? Because that one is a little bit balmy, I'm gonna get rid of the Revolution one, because I feel like that has the look of that without it being as sticky, because my hair was straight up sticking to that Revolution stuff. All right, these Stila convertible colors have been favorites of mine for a decade, I don't know, like for a very long time. And this one has been very well loved. This is in Lilium. Oh, favorite. This one's in Peony. They're both so similar. The shades of these online always look weird and off and not correct. But these are just a favorite. They apply any way you want. You can apply them with your fingers. You can apply them with a brush. I mean, they look gorgeous either way. You can see they're really similar. So this one's Lilium, that one's Peony. I'd always heard that Lilium was the shade they used on like Daphne in Bridgerton in season 1. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I read it somewhere and now I can't forget it. I am gonna keep these, but knowing that, I mean, these are pretty old. Peony, it says 6 months. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I am going to, look how loved these are. Don't you love to see it? Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these, / like throw them away. But I'm gonna right now, so I don't forget, buy the shade Lilium, because I know I would be so, like this is what was the OG before Makeup by Mario, and I still think I like the Stila one the best. So I'm gonna buy a new Lilium, take care of my skin. These are like 6 years old. Yeah, like the colors online are way off from what they actually are. So just be aware of that. But we're doing it, baby. I actually have an Ulta gift card, so it's kind of perfect. Speaking of old, this one right here, the MAC Glow Play and So Natural, I've had for probably 4 or 5 years. It is a favorite, but you can see how old and weird and gross it is. This is a part of the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale. If you haven't seen my like sale guide for that, I'll link it below. This is going to be 50% off. So yeah, and it's on a certain day, so definitely go check it out for the date. But I love it. I would repurchase it. I might repurchase it on that day, but this one has got to go in the trash. Milani Cheek Kiss. I think this is one of the best drugstore cream blushes. I just want a more natural shade. This one's a nude kiss, but I feel like they could have gone a little more, I don't know, like this feels very like less nude and more reddish pink, which I find interesting. It is very pretty, however, but this one 12 months, I've probably had for 5 years. Spring cleaning in the fall, baby. Sometimes I feel a little bit more energized to clean up in the fall than I do in the spring, and I don't know what that is. All right, Tower 28. I'm not gonna, this bright one is really pretty in rush hour, but I don't reach for it often. You can see I've literally like swatched it once, so I'm gonna pass that on to maybe a sister or something. Magic Hour is definitely my favorite shade from this. Again, this is a gorgeous cream blush. So pretty. So pretty. So this is a top tier, like one of my best recommendations, and the price is right on these. These are not nearly as expensive as the other high-end brands at like Sephora. I keep trying this Rose Inc one, trying to make myself love it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not anywhere near the level of the Tower 28, the Stila, the Makeup by Mario, and I think that's what's been the issue. I keep trying it thinking like, oh, I want it, and it's just not as good. And then this Tarte one I've been trying. I put on today, again. It is the, look how thick this is. Like you can full on like go, it's crazy. So you definitely want a good brush with it. I don't think it's terrible, and it can look really pretty. Like I have it on my cheeks today and I like the way it looks, but I don't think I would ever buy another shade in this. This is the shade Rose. I would go for one of the other ones over that, especially if you're new to cream blush. This is the Makeup Forever Pro Sculpting Palette. This is not bad. I just don't think it's like great. But it's, you know, it was one that I always wanted and I finally bought it, and it is not bad, but like I said, not great, but I'm not ready to part with it yet. So I think I'm going to keep that. All right. We're doing good. Now, next question for the comments. What is your favorite cream, like compact blush product? Like, do you have a favorite one that I didn't show today that you would recommend? I want to know. All right, let's do liquid. Ooh, I just found a stick. Well, we're doing whatever's left. Oh my gosh, why do I have so many of these? It doesn't even make any sense. Some of these are so old, oh my gosh. Wow. All right, so this is my liquid plus this liquid blush collection. A lot of these are very old and these are more of a liquid, so I wanna be good about getting rid of them. This is the most obvious, super old one. This is the Physicians Formula. Dewy Blush Elixir. I loved this stuff so much. I don't even know if you can still get it, but it is so pretty. Oh my gosh. It was just like one of those products I used every day for months and I could not stop talking about. So still totally recommend it, but it is time for it to go. Also, this was pretty cool packaging. Like for the drugstore, it was like a nice kind of like ceramic-y bottle. There was a pump so you could get the amount you wanted. Like, I think that was kind of cool, and not a lot, clearly. Not a lot of them have done this kind of packaging, so I thought that was unique. Go Physicians Formula. These Glossier ones are so many years old, it's not funny. It's their cloud paints. Okay, little backstory. When I first tried these, it was probably 7 years ago, and I did not like cream blushes. Now I do. Like, I didn't like it. So it's funny, back then I was like, oh, I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, no, I actually do think they're pretty good, but maybe I would purchase again in the future. Don't need it now, but I do think these are good, and the price is not exorbitant, you know? Okay, I think this NYX one was the one I didn't like. It's the Bare With Me Luminous Cheek Serum. I think it was a shade thing. Oh yeah, you can't, and it's like hard to get out. It's, I don't know. I think, yeah. See that? It just like goes away. Very weird. That's an easy one to go. This Milk one is pretty old, the Bionic Blush. I did like this okay. It's just time to go. Oh, it's all separated. Ew, that always grosses me out. So nope, that one can go. So this is an obvious keep, Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm and Pinkgasm, one of my favorites. I'm constantly finding dupes for this, although I think I'm done doing that because now there are so many dupes, it's like not even fun anymore. Which is, it's a good thing though. But anyway, yeah, definitely keeping, definitely love the way that looks. Speaking of dupes, this is the e.l.f. Halo Glow version. These are still newer to me. I'm still trying them out. I think it can be really pretty. I just didn't feel that any one of the Halo Glow products, at least as of right now, were so wonderful. I've almost been struggling to know how I feel about any of them, and that's really bizarre. So I'm going to keep it for now because it is still newer to me and I'm still trying out the whole line, but yeah. The ColourPop Blush Sticks is actually, this is pretty good. I think this shade I just recently, it was like PR Although I'm trying to get off of ColourPop's PR. ColourPop, you're not responding to me. I keep saying, please remove me. So if you're seeing this, please remove me. I like your products, but I don't need them every week. But I did get this in PR. This was pretty. I don't know. I just don't see myself using this a lot. So I'm just going to pass it on now before it gets super old. The Rare Beauty, I think I'm just going to keep like one or two. So Bliss is the obvious keep. It's like the most low-key shade. You can definitely use more of this, and that's what I loved. So this has been my favorite shade for a while. I'm definitely keeping. This one's a little darker. I'm going to pass on and Encourage. It can be really pretty, and like if you mix this with a glowy anything, it looks gorgeous, but it's just a little much for me. This one's the shade Hope, and I do think this one's pretty too. It's kind of just a little bit pinkier, less peachy. So those are definitely, if you're looking at them, those are my two favorite shades if you're near my skin tone of these. So they're just so pretty. This Say blush is one of my absolute favorites. I know so many of you guys have bought this from my recommendation and you guys have loved it as much as I do. It is thicker, and that's what I like about it. It's not thick, but it's not as runny as like the Rare Beauty. But see, the Rare Beauty's not runny either. It's just slightly thicker than that. And I think it is absolutely stunning. It is so easy to work with, so easy to use. It's this shade in particular though, Peachy. This is the one that I'm like, oh my gosh. If you like the kind of blushes I like, this will be your favorite blush. So highly recommend. I haven't tried the other shades, so I don't know about those, but I do know Peachy is in a 12 out of 10 from my book. I don't love the Revolution Super Dewy. The more I've used it, I realize I just don't like it. It's not dewy the way it says it is, which is confusing. It's kind of thick, but not in like the Say way. It's, I don't know. You see what I mean? I felt like it was hard to blend. So that one is going to go. This one from M Cosmetics, it says 12 months, but it's so pretty. I was just swatching it. Oh, what is it that you have to like put it in, then push it, and that sucks it? No, you push it in and then put it in. That's it. Okay. I remember the bottle being really confusing. So this one's definitely more liquidy, but it looks so skin-like. I mean, that's way too much, but it can look so skin-like. And that's why it has been a very popular product. So I'm going to keep it, but I really want to use it because it's definitely past its expiration date. And I want to utilize it more. This is why I needed to go through this, because I felt like so overwhelmed by the amount of blushes I had that I'm like, I didn't even know I still had this. All right, these three drugstore ones are wonderful, but they're past their prime. I actually recommend all of these. I really like the Milani Cheek Kiss. I think that one's a really good one. The Ulta Beauty Stay Cheeky is really good. This shade, Dusty Pink, is kind of a close dupe to the Charlotte Tilbury one, but they're old. CoverGirl All Over Dewy Tint is pretty old. I don't like it as much as the Milani, but I do think it is nice. I feel like shade-wise it's hard. Like this shade is not the shade for me, and also it's starting to separate. Okay, so we're down to one of my favorite liquid blushes. These are the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer blushes. I am just going to keep the ones I'm actually using. So I know I don't use Coastline or Corsica, too dark. Provence, La Piscine, and Mediterranee. They're all like in French. This one is kind of, oh, let's see, that's so pretty. I never grabbed for this one, and I really should. Very peachy, really, really pretty. These are very workable shades. So then Provence is one of my favorites as well. Definitely more pinky. La Piscine is the other one, and I think this is the one that, is this the one? It's really similar to Provence. So there's La Piscine, there's Provence, there's Mediterranee. I know I butchered the spelling, or the pronunciation. See, this is why I can't get rid of any of these, because all three of these are so gorgeous. So I think I'm going to keep them all. It's one of my favorite formulas. It says 18 months. That's probably right around where we're at. Yeah, they're just all so pretty. You know what? Let's get rid of La Piscine, because if I'm remembering, that's still one of my favorites, but it would oftentimes, because it was so light, it wasn't quite, like it would almost blend away color-wise. So I'm going to get rid of it, even though I love it, because I know the other ones show up a little bit better on my skin. All right, we're left with the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Beauty Blush Wands. I actually liked these. They weren't as matte as you think, though, and I think that's it's at least what threw me off. This one is in the shade Pink Pop, and it can look really pretty. I just don't find myself reaching for these at crazy amounts, so I don't think I need to keep both. This one is just in Pillow Talk, and if I remember right, this is the one that I felt like kind of looked splotchy on me from time to time, so I think I'm going to keep this one and get rid of Pillow Talk. Someone's going to be ecstatic ecstatic, one of my sisters. Okay, so now we got to talk about the maybes. As it turns out, these were all powder blushes. I'm just going to get rid of them all because I'm like, I just don't need them. And that's always how that happens. Okay, this is everything we are getting rid of. Let's count how many that is. Exactly, if I counted correctly, exactly 50, which means we are only keeping 33 items because I had 83 total. So we are getting rid of 50 blushes. Man, oh man, amazing feeling. All right, this is what we are keeping. I feel so good about this. I was kind of like skimming over to see, is there anything that stands out as like something I should get rid of? And for now, I mean, there are a few products like this e.l.f. one, the Makeup Forever, the Tarte Cream one that I'm still trying out that may not stay, but generally this is a good feeling. I really like a lot of these products, well, all of these products. So yay, this is so much more manageable and doable, and I feel like I can actually see what I have. Woo! I hope you guys enjoyed. It was so fun to kind of go through, really think through my collection. I know a lot of you guys watching this, I feel like it's probably split. Like half of you guys watching this have a collection like mine where it's what you're into, right? You're into makeup, so you collect it the same way people collect other things. And I do think it's important, especially the nature of makeup, to go through it and really think about like, what am I keeping? Do I need to keep it? Does this shade even work for me? Is it super old? And then I feel like just looking down at like what I am keeping, it reinvigorates that love for them. Sometimes having too many of one thing is exactly that. It's too many. And so then you can't really appreciate your collection for what it is because it's overwhelming to try to go through. So I am so excited to have a lot less. And like I said earlier, please subscribe if you haven't yet. I will link my decluttering playlist below if you like videos like this because I've been doing these for years. So I would love to have you catch some of those other ones. I've been doing generally every month for the past like 4 or 5 months. So if you want to see some recent ones, they are there at the top of the playlist. And other than that, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.